Mic is live.
Oh, the mic is live.
I think so.
Was you singing?
I was. Say
Sing
something
me in.
real here.
Sing me in there.
Say something real. Come on, Debo, join in now.
No.
Ha ha ha. Woo. My Earth, Wind, and Fire.
These lyrics.
Say something real now.
There
Say
it
something
is.
real now.
There it is. Eventually, you're going to go back to church. It always goes back to church. Okay, what'd you do?
If it ain't real, ain't me. Even down to my Nike suit. If it ain't real, it ain't me.
Yeah, Doc. Well, hold on.
Laugh.
Wait, we got to change that.
What we changing it
Because
to?
sometimes if it ain't real, it still is you. Doc. Oh, it still be you.
Yeah, player.
Hey, we ain't gonna start there. We just got it done. Ain't seen each other all weekend.
Right. We miss
Act
one
right.
another.
At least
That's how
for
we
the
know we
first.
misses one another.
At least for the first 5 minutes of the
I'm
show.
just saying.
Good morning. What's happening, family? Welcome to Comedy Central. This is Michelle Bryant here at WNOV 860 AM 106.5 FM. You are listening to Say Something Real. Let me say good morning to the babies on the school buses and on their way to school this morning. Y'all, hey, get that work done. Listen to your teacher and think about the decisions you're making today will determine what kind of life you're going to have when you graduate. If you graduate. Because everybody going to graduate.
Very
So you
motivational.
need to decide now
Right.
on your way to school
Motivational.
if you going to graduate.
What a motivational speech.
Hey, once you decide I'm graduating,
Okay.
then every decision you make at school is going to be in furtherance of getting to the goal of graduating.
You know, there's two kind of U8s. You got quit you eight and graduate.
Quit you wait.
I don't know what quit you wait.
Quit you wait means
When you just quit
be like, hey man,
and I ain't coming back.
I ain't gonna make it.
Look here. The data says
Quit you wait.
you mess around and quit you wait and find out. And the way they do it, folks, today, I'm just saying, so babies, I need you when you think about that work and when you got some of your friends kicking it, being silly, not paying attention, I need you to be like, that's not for me because I'm trying to live fabulous. And so the decisions you make today will indicate your shot at living fabulous.
Yeah, because
And fabulous just mean being able to pay the rent.
Right.
It don't mean, Jay-Z fabulous. It could be, but that just depends on how much more work you willing to do.
yeah, because if you quit your wait, you're gonna end up like Debo.
You know what?
Don't quit your wait.
I said
This dude, right?
we
here.
not.
Oh,
We
I
not.
just
You
felt the
something
need
in
to
your
keep
spirit,
I
right?
said my-
Something in your spirit.
Don't get
I felt the
holy
need to keep it
while you
going.
taking shots.
Amen.
Don't invoke the Lord in your foolishness.
I'm just trying to help the kid.
Nah.
If you
Yeah.
quit your wait, you're gonna end up in a Debo situation.
Some teacher need to write that on the board today.
Quit your wait
Quit
or graduate.
Yeah.
You too.
Which one? Let me just write your name down now, and we can just move on.
You could be the bus driver or you could own the bus company.
I mean, no.
That ain't no shot at the bus driver.
I mean, I was gonna say no,
Driving
because
the
it ain't
bus.
even that. Because a lot of things that have you, in a situation that you driving the bus. It works for my schedule.
Yeah, that's what
bus
I'm
drivers
saying.
been getting like $21 an hour.
Yeah.
So I just need you to be productive. I need you not to have to hustle in terms of these street pharmaceuticals and nothing crazy to make it. I just need you to be good. And in fact, it would be amazing if you could be better than good.
Well,
That's all I'm saying.
Well,
Do your thing.
Like
Listen,
they say,
do your thing.
Like they say, the why settle for good when great is available. So, with that,
I
being
like
said,
that. Why settle for good when great is available?
Yeah,
Somebody
man, I
at the
took
bus
that from.
company said, and we hiring.
And we hiring.
And they hiring.
That part.
So
No. And I'm not, again, it wasn't a shot. I worked for Safe Line. I worked for Right Way. I drove school bus. And again, it was convenience.
Wait, they gave you a
I actually
job
liked
at
working
State
with the
Farm?
kids for a little
And a
while.
lot of people, a lot of
For a
people.
little while I did until
You said
one of them hit me.
For what? You got hit by it.
Yeah,
Got hit by a criminal.
He
Was
was
that
having
your
a
last
bad.
day?
Well, no. I'm gonna tell you what did happen though. When I got to the school, I radioed in. I'm like, "Hey, it's bus 183. Woo, woo, woo. You need to have the principal meet me outside because the student just hit me." Then after I sat down, I went back there and I knocked the hell out of that little boy. I did. and I got back on the radio and said, "You probably want to have Mickey meet me there too, because I just knocked the hell out of him." So Mickey met me there, the principal and Mickey. But when I got there, the principal said, "So what happened?" I says, "Hey, he was having a bad morning, whatever." I said something to him. I went back there to make sure he was in his seat, and he hauled off and knocked the hell out of me. And I hit him. He
How
said,
was
"Wait."
this kid?
He was about 10, 11. He said, "Wait a minute, wait. Come with me." He took me off the bus and went over to the side. He says, "Now, what you're telling me is that you may have hit the child in the process of trying to secure the situation to make sure all of the other students
Get the
were
story
safe,
together.
right? You were, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying to you, man. That's exactly what I said." So they took me off the route for a day, and then they put me back on, and that was the end of it. But it certainly taught me a lesson that you don't admit that you hit nobody's kid.
Oh no, come on now. Dang, somebody had to coach you on that?
Yeah, because
you was going to jail.
He hit me.
You was going to jail. He was 10.
He hit me.
That was
He hit me.
He grown. That was a child. What is wrong with
What you say, Jermaine?
He hit me. Him did it. Him did it.
You know, I'm done with y'all. I'm done.
Hold on.
But look, since we talking about school,
Who wrote this? Happiness Donor says Debo had
Jay.
1,000 jobs: station manager, cell phone carrier, owned a bar, blues singer, now bus driver, black excellence.
yeah. He said black excellence.
What? Did you hear that, Michelle?
I did. You know what? Hey, baby, I can do it all. That's all you need.
That's all I'm saying.
Ain't too proud. I can do it all. As long as them checks is coming, the bank don't care where they came
all that
from.
money green.
Look. So how are you, sir?
Good. Yeah, I was waiting on it. I know.
Yeah.
I get sensitive on Mondays.
You get sensitive every day. every
Tuesday,
day.
Wednesday, Thursday,
Every
Friday,
day.
Saturday.
How you doing, fam?
Well, I'm doing good since you asked me. Now that Miss Michelle respectfully asked me how I'm doing. Respectfully, I'm doing great now.
How was your weekend?
Actually, it was good. I made some money. I went. And
We
played.
made some money.
I made some money.
We made some money.
Okay, well, so we French. We. Oh, we were dirt shit.
Clean it up.
Yeah.
Clean it up.
Oh, we were dirt shit.
We made some money.
So
Clean it up, fam.
you know, I figured it was a.
It sounds like it was a good weekend for us.
I missed the concert, man. I'm so salty about that. I forgot, and I had no clue that Ro James was coming. If I knew that Ro James was going to be on that ticket, I'd have went because I got that record with Ro James, and I had no clue.
So tell people what concert you talking about. You missed
October, London. Ro James.
I heard it was a good show.
And yeah, I heard it was.
I heard it was a phenomenal show. It was so much, like I say that we had these weekends in Wisconsin and Milwaukee in particular, where everything seems like it's happening.
Yeah.
Bam, bam, bam. I think because we realized we have like a window, and we got to get stuff in. So yeah, I had a busy couple of days. Went to Chicago on Friday night to go see the opera Tremonisha,
Nice.
Black opera written in 1911, and it was phenomenal.
Nice.
A group of folks went with us from Milwaukee, and when I tell you that, and I love, because there are points in the opera after, someone sings, but you realize you kind of wait for the scene to be done, and then you clap. Man, Black folks was clapping all through the whole thing, right?
Really?
And it was a really diverse audience, but we ran the show. It was mostly a Black audience. But there certainly were many patrons of the arts that were there. And
how is that received, Michelle, when you clap when you're not supposed to be clapping yet?
Say what?
How's that received?
I mean, in a Black audience, it's what we do. We clap when it sounds good. Oh, honey, you knocked it. You even on a riff, we'll clap like, oh, do that, and white folks just have to get used to coming with us.
Right,
And I know
right.
somebody even commented that somebody white that was sitting next to it was like, oh, this is just a very different response, and it's just so so interesting. Yeah, because we got our own rules about when we come to the show, and so that was amazing. And I want to thank, because we had a lot of listeners that went with us to go to Chicago. So I just want to thank everybody that did that.
Michelle,
yes,
can I say something right quick, please?
Yeah, sure.
I'm getting killed over here by bus drivers.
You
So
the
one
Are
texts
you?
me and says, yeah, this is your cousin. I'm not gonna give her name. I make $28 an hour driving the bus, and I'm here every morning listening to y'all. And then went on to
Check
text
it
again and
in.
say, and she does, and I own a bus.
Hey!
Okay, cuz.
I
Point
love
made.
it in her. I love it in her.
Yeah, point made.
I'm just
Tracy.
saying.
I said I wasn't gonna say my Tracy.
I'm just saying, we gotta watch how we say stuff.
Yeah.
Because
I
I
didn't
know what the
realize it would come
intent
across
was,
like that.
but the impact, I tell people all the time, intent versus impact. That actually is a coachable, thing. What did you intend, but how did it land?
Okay,
How
Michelle.
did people
Okay,
receive it?
Okay.
So, remember that when you get ready to open your mouth,
Yes, ma'am.
intent
Yes,
versus
ma'am.
impact.
Okay, big mama.
So anyway, Saturday, went to sorority meeting. Delta Sigma Theta Milwaukee Alumni Chapter has a new president. I want to say thank you to all the hard work of the outgoing DST Milwaukee Alumni President Sharon Williams. Got the work done, got the job done, worked hard. New incoming president, my sorority sister Deborah Nevels. I'm always gonna call her Debbie Davis because that's what she was when we was in school together. So sorority meeting was great. Left there, went over to a hat sale. Miss Bobby Lathan, who passed away last year. There was anybody that knew Miss Lathan, Dr. Lathan. She had a outrageous hat game. Outrageous. And her niece, they arranged to have a hat sale. So I got there in the last hour before, because I was at sorority meeting all morning. So got there in the last hour before the sale was over. Still bought 5 hats. Still bought 5 hats. I will have one on at the Big Hat Soiree. That's coming up. So that was cool. And then Saturday night, went to go see Ali Sadiq and the comedian. Phenomenal show. And I was surprised. I didn't know my man Marcus Wiley was going to be with him. Great. Both of these brothers, just great, just amazing. I will say 2 things real quickly about that show. Number one, there was a woman, Latina woman, who I don't know what was going on with her, but she was up talking to Ali while he was doing his performance. And, he, at some point, he was just like, who is she with? Y'all get this lady, And so, black people, where the hell is security?
Right.
Security, put our black out of here, And so people start cutting up. And so the lady, they got her to sit down. Then she got up again. I think she got up 3 times. But what I loved about Ali Sadiq, because people, black folks, put her behind up out of here. Ali Sadiq said, hey, don't put her out. Now, if she gonna do it, just let her sit down, because she done paid for that ticket. Don't put her out. Just make her sit down. And I respected that, because I have been at the concert when a heckler was at Chris Tucker, and they put him out. And then another heckler started. And then Chris Tucker walked off the stage and said, I'm done. I'm not doing the show.
Mm-hmm.
And we had all paid that money, and the show was over just like that.
Wow.
And so that was one thing. And I said, I knew I liked this brother for a reason. So loved Ali Sadiq. He recently became a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. So I had a chance to, thanks to Tamika Vukovic and Lena Taylor, I had an opportunity to meet Ali. Because when I bought my tickets, they weren't selling the VIP experience, or I would have bought it. So they had VIP experience tickets. So Lena gave me her ticket. She was like, I already know this your man. And so then she ended up being given a ticket by someone whose husband had to leave the show early. So it was just really, really cool. Appreciated that. And let me say this about Marcus D. Wiley. Ever since I got turned on to this brother, I have been a 1000% fan of this cat. There's something about him that's just real and genuine and just, every day that I respect. No airs, no pretense. It is what it is, respectful. I love this brother and I love his comedy. He was selling a book when afterwards everybody got t-shirts, books and stuff for sale. And his book, it was a little lightweight book. Like if that book had 50 pages in it, it was doing good. And then, so I bought the book. I'm always gonna buy. Whether I plan to read it or not, I will buy the book to support, my folks. So bought the book and I was making fun of it because it was so thin. And then I opened it, it was a big old font. And I said, oh, it's one of these kind of books. Okay. You just out here doing something. And I said, I'm gonna be able to read this book in 15 minutes. So literally, I took a moment and I sat down and I read the book. I read the book in probably about 35 minutes and maybe an hour, but that's because I went back and reread some stuff. For people of faith in particular, but I'll say even for people not of faith or still struggling with faith, each little chapter, and then the chapters was like 4 pages long. I swear to God, it was ridiculous. I should have brought it with me. And I meant to bring it with me because he has some stuff in there that I found to be very, very helpful, even in terms of religion and connecting it to his life. And because his book is called, I think it's called Hustle and Faith. And basically, faith without works, and he has a line in there, and it's not his line, but he says, look, God, we sit back and wait on God to do stuff for us. God do the stuff for us we can't do. But there's some stuff we can do, and we supposed to do that. And but the reason I brought his book up is because I go to stuff all the time. And I bought Stacey Abrams' big old book. I bought, somebody else's book, Michael Eric Dyson's book. Just all these books be big, they hefty. And I'm sure people because they got a lot to tell you. Books be like 500 pages, just books. Viola Davis' book is thick. And a lot of times I buy them and I don't even read them. I just have them. Number one, because I'm supporting. Eventually, when I'm bored and I ain't got nothing else to do, I'm gonna sit down and read it. But the way my life was, I ain't have 2 hours to read, to commit to reading your book. I just didn't. So I read his book, and I'm gonna tell y'all something. The thing that I learned from my teacher in the 10th grade, when she said, Michelle, keep it simple. You will reach way more people when you keep it simple. I know you got a nice vocabulary. I know you're an intelligent young lady, but I see you in a different light in the world. You are going to talk to people, and I need people to be able to relate to what you're saying. So she bled all over one of my papers I turned in. She said, keep it simple, Michelle. Let other folks do all of that. But I need you to keep, and I never forgot it. And I've always talked in a very plain spoken, regular kind of way. You'll never know, like, this girl got education. She actually can be bright at times. You'll never know because the way I choose to engage people. And she said, hey, Alex, good morning. I see you. Thanks for checking in, fam. Good morning, Shelby. I saw you too. Hey, Dion. I got more out of Marcus Wiley's book and them little 40, 50 pages than I have gotten out of some of the heftiest books from intellectual, giants and from people just telling their life story. I got more out of that book. And it was a book that anybody can read. No overcomplicated concepts, no overcomplicated words. But when I say I walked away different from reading that book, I walked away different.
That's powerful.
Challenged you without calling you out.
Mm-hmm.
Made you assess the way you look at stuff. and even around issues of religion. So I just had to say that about that brother. It was a powerful piece. So I had a great weekend. Except
Michelle,
for
Michelle, I know you're going to break.
yeah,
I just had a question for you,
yeah,
and I don't know if you saw it this weekend either, Jermaine. I always know when it's happening, but this particular weekend it was kind of different for me because everywhere I went, I saw people with these church mother hats on,
Mm-hmm.
and that was attributed to the Kentucky Derby.
yeah.
So, but I've never seen us do that around here like that, man. I went in, I'm like, I must be in the wrong place, or they just left a funeral or something because they got these big church mother hats on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I'm
no,
like,
I mean,
wow.
because like, I know like the AKAs always do a Kentucky Derby event,
Mhm.
and I think they do it with the Alphas. They always have a huge event,
Mhm.
but a number of places have gotten in on it, and more Black people are actually going down to the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They
I
used
knew
to
a
do
group
that
of
back in the
sisters that
day.
went down,
Yeah.
took pictures, sent pictures back and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Over the years, so
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, more and more of us are certainly doing it. So yeah,
Okay.
it was Kentucky Derby weekend.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nope. All right. Well, let me do this. I got to take a quick break. It's a lot to get to. And I'll just tell people I am filling in for my brother Keith Paris today. So I will actually be doing double duty. Y'all gonna get sick of me because I'm with y'all until 11 o'clock today. So let me take a break. I'll be right back.
Real with your host, Michelle Bryant on WNOV.
All right, family, welcome back to the show. Got a caller that called in. Let me get them. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good
Hello?
morning, everyone.
Hey, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Doing fine, doing fine. I just want to elaborate on the Kentucky Derby.
Okay.
They honored the Bridgman family. Junior had been on the board of Kentucky Derby since 2013, and
Whoa.
they honored his family at the beginning of the Derby, and they acknowledged Doris and Ryan and Justin and his daughter, and I thought it was so fitting. But the ironic part, for years, Junior always invites, a lot of people from Milwaukee down to the celebration. And last year he threw this big old gala, and he said that it would be his last Derby that he would throw a gala for. And it turns out Junior passed away months later.
Whoa, that's crazy. Did he say
I
why? He
know.
just said he had been doing it for a while and was
He had
gonna
did
fall
it for a
back.
while, and yeah, and then and going on to different and bigger things. I think he was putting a lot of focus in on Coca-Cola and the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay.
Um, um, very very impactful man,
Mm.
and I'll be the first. If it won't be the last. He's done a lot for me and my family. I mean, a lot. I would not have been able to go to the Bucks games or any of that without Marcus Johnson or Junior Bridgman.
All right. Well, I am
That's fact.
glad that that the family realizes how much he meant to people. Hopefully, people always had an opportunity to tell folks how much they mean to them.
While they're still here, that's
Exactly,
the
while they can
important
appreciate
part.
it. Absolutely, absolutely.
How
So,
was dinner yesterday, Uncle?
I cooked your favorite, but I did not take it to the festivities. I was going to surprise you later,
Oh,
but
you gonna surprise me and Michelle and Jermaine with some of your famous
how
gumbo?
you got to give everybody food? He said he was going to
well,
surprise you
He
later.
got the gumbo,
let's
Michelle.
Eh,
let's
He
let's
said he was going to
Michelle,
surprise you
Michelle.
later.
When I come through, I come through screaming. You know that.
Well, come on, then.
You know I
Shut
got
up.
you.
let me
Love y'all.
let me not overtalk my blessing.
Some people don't know.
Bye.
Bye. uh, okay. Um, let me do this. Da, 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 da. Okay, so let me do this. I wanted to remind people before I get into a bunch of other stories that in 2 days we will be at the official date of Real ID. And I appreciated a story that was in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel uh, just recently with the title, You Ask, We Answer. I got a real ID in another state. Do I have to apply in Wisconsin all over again? The answer is simply yes, you do. So, as we know, the federal government, after the incidents surrounding 9/11, wanted to go to a national standard for ID verification. Starting May 7th, everyone 18 or older will be required to have a real ID to fly domestically and to enter federal buildings. Carolyn, can you turn that down for me a little bit? I'm getting I can hear myself. Um, to enter federal buildings. Uh, if you lived in Minnesota and you moved to Wisconsin, you had real ID already in Minnesota. Just like anything else, when you get your new ID, your new driver's license, new whatever, you're supposed to switch that stuff over. Some states actually have guidelines. If you move to this state within 30 days, 60 days, whatever that is, you have to switch your stuff over. Some people do, some people don't. I know on car registrations, we ain't switch nothing over. I'm just letting people know right now. When I moved to Georgia and I saw how much it costs to register a car in Georgia, my car stayed registered in Wisconsin. No, sir. I can't afford that. Like after you had paid $85 to register your car in Wisconsin, and Georgia was talking about, yeah, we do value of the car. Value of the car. No, let me get a a hoopty then. Somebody said tell Debo to correct the word load on the show. I think it's supposed to be loan.
Loan, show it. Student load debt.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Montgomery. Keeps about something. Good morning. You are filling in for me on the 7th, Wednesday. Oh, Doug told me it was today. Okay. I'm not gonna be here. Thank you, Lord. Look, I'm glad. I'm filling in for Keith on Wednesday. Thank you, Keith.
Yeah, it's never been a long accidental day.
It would have been an accident because he would have been here. He would have been here.
He was like, what is you doing?
Okay, and of course, Dr. Myers, educator extraordinaire, shows up and says the Kentucky Derby started out as a predominantly black sport. Many of the first jockeys were black. There's a long history of us in horse racing. So thank you, resident educator. And I'm going to actually speak to her in just a second. So in any case, real ID. Yep. You gotta, if you got it in another state, you still got to get it here. If you plan to go in federal buildings, blah, blah, blah. So I just want to tell people that they actually talked about a woman who had to find out the hard way that, yep, you got to have it. And I'm going to tell you right now, make sure you got your birth certificate, Social Security card. You got to have certain things to be able to go in and get that. You can go online to get that information. There are a number of sites on the Wisconsin state site. You can find out what you need, but you do have to have a copy of your birth certificate, Social Security card to be able to secure that real ID. So we are at that period. Do I need a real ID for the courthouse? Federal courthouse, not Milwaukee County courthouse. Federal courthouse. Good question. Thank you for asking. All right. So that is on tap. But we were talking about kids and education this morning. Let me take a second because I read this article saw it. I didn't go through it in its full entirety. I'm gonna do it with y'all while I'm on the air. But the caption, hundreds of staff have told NPS why they resign. What is the district doing to respond? Milwaukee Public School officials have gone to great lengths to find staff to fill open positions. They've flown overseas to recruit teachers from 23 countries. They've employed hundreds of other teachers who aren't fully licensed. They've contracted with dozens of agencies for temporary workers to fill gaps. Let me stop right there. So why did it take them 6 months to get back to former state representative Lakeisha Myers to when she was trying to just be a substitute teacher? She never got all of her, she turned in everything they want her to turn in. She did everything they asked her to do. She never, ever, ever had HR reach out to her to bring her on to be a substitute. So I just want to say that because there are other people in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee, who have said the exact same thing about NPS. So as I read this, I'm furious because here's somebody with a PhD who has been an assistant principal, who was simply trying to be a sub in Milwaukee Public Schools, and they never, ever, ever completed and closed the loop for her to be a substitute teacher. She has been subbing in suburban school districts since last year. So I just got to say that, because we got an article, you can't find nobody. And you got a doctorate, educated, special education teacher that can't get hired by y'all, even as a damn substitute for the longest time. But okay. But retention problems at NPS make recruitment feel like trying. And I just want to say, we believe it's political. We do. We believe it's political. NPS was on some nonsense. But anyway. But retention problems at NPS make recruitment feel like trying to bail out a boat with a hole in it. Former Human Resources Director Adria Maddalini said, the impact of NPS vacancies in key areas has been laid bare in succession of recent crises: the finance office, the Head Start preschool program, most recently maintenance program for lead hazards. As school districts across the country struggle to recruit and retain staff, many have turned to exit surveys to find out why staff are leaving their schools and why they have not, and what may have kept them. Electronic dynamic surveys can allow districts to respond nimbly to issues causing burnout. NPS isn't among them. Departing staff fill out paper surveys, forever behind the times. NPS isn't among them. Departing staff fill out paper surveys. Officials haven't historically analyzed the results, and a year of data from a pilot electronic survey went missing. So just think about how raggedy this stuff is run. You're not keeping up with the times. So as opposed to being able to do it electronically, teachers got to sit down and fill out. So I got to write it and fill out a paper, survey. And then nobody was even really compiling the data to figure out what was going on. It wasn't being analyzed. And then you did do an electronic pilot, and then you lost the data. Newly appointed NPS Superintendent Brenda Casilia said the district's exit survey should be digitized, more detailed, and regularly analyzed for trends. There's no point in collecting exit surveys if you're not going to use them in some way to make sure that you're in continuous improvement loop around your culture and climate, Casilia said. NPS has been talking about modernizing and analyzing its exit surveys for at least 6 years. It don't take 6 years to do none of this. This is a 2-month project. This is a 2-month project. Here, you can go on Contact and create a survey. Oh my God. Anyway, a 2019 consultant found little evidence that the reasons for separation were tracked, analyzed, and acted upon. That largely remains true in 2025, the Journal Sentinel found. So in 2019, they said, y'all not analyzing any of this data. So when you crying that you can't keep staff, you got high turnover, you got money and time to recruit in 23 countries, but you can't figure out why people walking out your building. In 2023, after the district's accountability director raised alarms about unsustainable rates of teacher turnover and the need for insight into the issue, NPS piloted an electronic exit survey. Survey was offered throughout the 23-24 school year on Qualtrics, an online survey platform, according to the NPS interim chief administrative officer, Michael Harris. Harris isn't sure if the data got saved anywhere. That's what I'm not seeing on our end, he said. That's where we missed, where the opportunity was missed, or the missed opportunity is. So you took a survey. You paid a company to administer this survey. And then you're telling people, we're not sure if the data got saved. The pilot also included surveys of employees in their first 90 days on the job, asking them about application and onboarding process. While Harris thought the pilot was successful, it died when he left his position, possibly falling through the cracks in the transition or getting cut due to budget constraints. Harris said it would be valuable to bring back. For now, the forms are still on paper and still ask the same questions. What was the most important factor in your decision to leave NPS? What did you like most about working for NPS? What action or change would have kept you from leaving NPS? The format has limitations, so you're not really getting what you need. The first question is imprecise. It asks respondents to pick the most important factor behind their resignation, choosing from 12 options, but also says check all that apply. About half the respondents pick one answer and about half check multiples. So they go through this whole thing about what was going on with this. But this is just my point for bringing this up. Ingrid Walker Henry, the president of the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association, MTEA, which represents NPS staff, said she thought the survey should be anonymous to make the staff feel more comfortable being honest. She also said the survey should ask more detailed questions. School board president Marva Herndon said a more detailed exit survey would help her understand why schools in her district 1 have higher vacancy rates and more workplace issues. Other districts, okay, forget that part. And it's a long article, so I'm not gonna keep reading it, but y'all get the point. Y'all get the point. I just keep trying to figure out, like, some of this stuff is not rocket science. It's not rocket science. You got to recruit from 23 countries. So we had Gerard Randall, who was supposed to be doing that pipeline from historically Black colleges and universities to getting folks up here to be teachers in Milwaukee. Yeah, good luck with all of that. But that was a whole thing. He was being paid to help facilitate, like helping to create a pipeline. So now we leave in the country. And I'm saying 6 months of Lakeisha trying to get hired by MPS to even be a substitute teacher. It's a lot wrong at MPS. You could hire a school superintendent in less than 3 months, but you couldn't hire a substitute teacher in 6 months that had worked in the district before. We got a lot of issues, y'all. There are so many groups that, they have education committees, education focuses, education initiatives. We are going to have to stay on top of what's happening at MPS. Our community's very existence depends on it. The ability to get our children through these systems, have them be educated as best as possible. We already know we got the other side of it. The parents got to do their part. The community got to do their part. But we got to make sure that there is accountability and that this kind of stuff does not continue to fall through the cracks. Somebody should have known that our turnover, and I'm talking about somebody in the community, should know that our turnover is so bad. We recruiting in 23 countries and we having trouble staffing. But I ain't never had MPS come on here not one time and ask no damn body about if you interested in working at MPS. We looking for teachers. Maybe I missed it. Have you heard the ads? Have you seen the recruiting? Has anybody come to your church, your community organization, your neighborhood? Did your school board member hold a town hall meeting and say this is going on and we looking for help in the district? I've just yet to hear it on any real scale that made an impression. Job fairs, so I'm just saying, y'all, we can't let this continue. This is now on us. It's on us. Because we see there are people not watching and not being detail oriented and not doing everything that needs to be done. It's too much that falls through the gaps. And if they got too much on their plate, we need to figure out how to get them some additional help. But us throwing millions more dollars, and think about, this was the other part of that article that just irked my soul. Because you out here asking for money. See, this is what Lena said that got her in trouble with the district and people like hating her, because she said, before you come asking me for money, let me know what you're doing with the money you already got. So you done paid for an analytics company to collect surveys and we didn't get nothing for it. We didn't get the data analyzed. We didn't get an action plan from the data. So I don't know how much that costs, $100,000, $200,000, but that's just money gone down the drain. The money that it take to print these surveys up that nobody does anything with, just money gone down the drain. And those was the type of questions that Lena was asking. I'm not saying you don't need money, but I need to understand what you're doing with the money you do have. So there is a new school board president, Missy Zomber. Hopefully things will be done better and in a way in which, you literally get to the nuts and bolts of some of this stuff. Because for all of MPS's, claims about transparency, I was on here last week talking about them sending that maintenance man out in front of the media by himself, which was a complete and total setup. They completely set that man up. He shouldn't have been there. He didn't have the prerequisite credentials that he was supposed to have. But the fact that no administrator or school board member was standing next to that man when he was interviewing with the press, you already knew, bruh, you on your way out. This is a complete and total setup. So We're gonna have to keep our eye on the district, y'all. Period. We're gonna have to keep our eye on the district. It has to be said. It absolutely has to be said. All right. With that, let me ugh, let me just take a second. It was so many crazy stories about Donald Trump this weekend that it's hard to keep up. I mean, every time you turn around, you're like, I'm sorry, wait, what's going on? He said, what? I mean, what? I mean, you just do this all day. What? So let me take one that I need for people to pay attention to. I need you to, if this is for you, great. If it is for your family member, somebody said, Michelle, they only gonna come to the churches every 4 years. They're not trying to educate black children. They just want black votes. Okay. So let me say this. Federal student loans were back in the news as of this weekend. The Trump administration has said that they are going to start student loan collections for more than 5 million borrowers that are in default on student loans. Now, remember, coming out of COVID, Biden did a lot. You know, like I said, it's going to be years down the road. Some people already know. But before Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's administration is given the credit that these people deserve. Because when this country was in trouble in terms of COVID and people was trying to figure out how to make ends meet, Joe Biden wasn't nowhere standing up telling people, tighten your belt, tough it out, buy, $5 instead of $30. He was saying, how can we help? Where can we figure out ways to keep some extra money in your pocket? So they stepped up, loan forgiveness programs. They made sure that people were getting credit for having done public service. They went back and looked at some of these schools that were, negligent in the way they administered their programs, and people were able to get those student loans wiped out. They were just diligent in trying to, because student loan is one of the most crushing debts of Americans aside from medical bills. So the U.S. Department of Education will resume collecting on defaulted student loans starting today. More than 5 million borrowers are currently in default, and that total could swell up to roughly 10 million borrowers within a few months. The federal government has extraordinary collection powers on its student loans, and they can seize tax refunds, paychecks, and Social Security, retirement, and disability benefits. Did you hear what I said? If you have an outstanding student loan and you have not entered into some type of repayment plan, understand this. These people can come after your tax refund. We knew that. Your paycheck. We knew that. Social Security retirements. I don't know that everyone knew that. And disability benefits. A whole bunch of people getting ready to have their wages garnished and other consequences. A whole bunch of people. More than 42 million Americans hold student loans. Outstanding federal education debt exceeds $1.6 trillion. 5 million borrowers currently in default. So I keep saying that because that means it's somebody we know that may be in default. And they may not be telling us. But I need you to talk to people in your family who have gone to college, whether they graduated or not, and say, hey, I'm just passing this information along. I don't know if you good. I don't know if your student loans are paid off or if they are in repayment status. But if you are in default, you need to call them people before them people start garnishing your check. Biden's administration, people have signed up for the SAVE plan. Those people are caught up in limbo. They managed to, the Republicans blocked that plan from being implemented in the last part of the summer last year. Many of those borrowers will have to now switch out of Biden's plan into another repayment plan that will spike their monthly bill. Because under Biden, if you was paying, you was paying the bare minimum because they was trying to make sure that folks could still manage their households. The Trump administration has eliminated forgiveness provisions from student loan repayment plans. It also terminated staff at the education department, including many of the people who helped to assist borrowers. Now, student loan borrowers report waiting on the phone for hours before they're able to even reach somebody about their debt. The Trump administration has told defaulted borrowers to contact the department for options on getting current. The timings of the layoffs. So you done laid off the people as you are now ramping up collection efforts, which means you're not trying to help these people. You setting people up for failure. I need to get the root. Somebody in this article said that they talked to people who had said they had been on hold for as long as 8 hours to speak with someone at the department or their loan servicer. 8 hours. Restarting collections with these loans mean that this mess is going to start showing up on your credit report. They had not been putting student loan debt on credit reports for a while. It's going to start showing up on your credit report. I got to take a break. I'm going to wrap up on the last part of this, but I'm going to try to give out a number so that people can call. But y'all, again, this may not apply to you, but some of us, all of us, most likely know somebody that has gone to college that may have had to have a student loan. And we just need to check in with people and make sure that they good. Because see, some folks going to go to get their paycheck next month. I don't know how soon it'll start. And that check ain't going to be in the bank on direct deposit. The Fed's going to have it. Get on this today. Let me take a break. I'll be right back.
Now, back to Say Something Real with your host, Michelle Bryant on WNOV.
All right, family, welcome back to the show. So before I went to the break, just making sure that members of our community are aware of the fact that as of today, the federal government has returned to actively pursuing student loan collections, and they are going after people that are in default. I mentioned that this could definitely and immediately impact your credit score. Some people have already noticed their credit scores have dropped, and I want to be clear about what this drop could look like. Folks are saying on average between 121 and 170 points is what they are seeing your credit score drop by. So 650 is about an average, okay, kind of score. It's not the best. It's not the worst. You like fair. You can still go get a car loan. Interest rate going to be high as hell, but you can still go get a car loan. If you got a student loan and they hit you on the credit bureau score, you talk about dropping down to a 500. Just like that. And then you got to get out here and find housing, try to get a decent apartment. You need to buy another car. So I am imploring people, if you need to get back on track, make sure somebody in your family has the information they need to get back on track. You can go to the website studentaid.gov. There is a page. It says right on this page, welcome to studentaid.gov. We are resuming collections on defaulted federal loans, and they give you a tab to click so that you can start the process to log in to figure out what you need to do. So again, I want to make sure you understand studentaid.gov. You got something, Jay? Oh, and student aid is the word student with a capital S. The A in aid is capitalized.gov. So capital STUDENT, capital AID.gov. Yes.
Yeah, I received a text from someone that said, "Yep, my credit dropped by 120 student loans. I was pissed. I'm currently now, I'm current now, but I wish they would have called me." Shaking my head. So yeah.
So you just got this text from somebody, and they said what I'm saying is real.
Credit dropped by.
Can you imagine taking a 100? Like I know that because I get Experian reports. I know if my credit drops by 1 point, 2 points, you know,
120.
Yeah, 120.
Wow.
And you know how hard it is to dig out of a 120 point drop. So I'm just saying, y'all, this ain't no time to play. These people are ruthless, and it's folks gonna appreciate. Gonna appreciate what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is trying to do. Yeah. Speaking of that, let me also just take a moment because I had some really unsettling conversations this weekend. People who have been applying. We got a caller. Let's get them real quick. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hey, this is Dion. How y'all doing?
Hey, Dion, how you doing?
Fine. Imagine, you know how they do a credit report like a day before you have a closing?
Yes.
And imagine a day before your closing, you got all your money saved, your down payment, and then your banker or credit union person tell your loan officer, we can't do this because your credit report has just dropped below such and such a point.
Right.
We can't give you this house. Then you wondering why. And then they looked it up. Okay, this is why.
And because they hadn't been putting student loan debt on your credit report, like for a while now, it's not been there. Or like if you did 7 years of it, then it would fall off, and they wouldn't put it back on there. But no, they going back after it, and they labeling everybody with these defaulted loans when this hadn't been the case. You're absolutely right. So it's people that could have been in the process because that was not showing up on their credit report. Thank you. That's a good observation.
And they do it a day before the closing.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Have
you,
a good
Dion.
day.
I mean, I'm just saying, y'all, like this mess is real. And there's so many people who thought they was being slick and vote for Donald Trump. Y'all, you about to put yourself in a trick bag. But the thing I was going to bring up that I said that was unsettling, I was talking to a number of people who, for a variety of different reasons, had lost their jobs over the last month, 2 months. Okay. And they had to file for unemployment. People were telling me that they have made filing for unemployment with the identity verification process so cumbersome that many people never collected their unemployment yet. That they had to start driving Uber or doing other things to supplement their income because there's this ID verification process that's now required by the feds. And I went to go pull it up on the Wisconsin website, and it says log into myunemployment.wisconsin.gov. Enter your personal information. Follow the steps for identity verification. You will choose whether you want to verify your identity online with login.gov or in person at a post office. This is where people said they were getting hung up because they would try to take a picture of their ID to verify their ID and upload it online. The systems kept misreading the ID, saying they couldn't verify it, and that the people would have to go to a post office to get the verification done. People said, I went to the post office. My information never made it to the unemployment office. I went a second time to the post office. Information never made it. One young lady told me she went to the post office 3 times. After 3 times of going to the post office, her verification information never made it to the unemployment division. She had found a job in the time while she was trying. So she never collected unemployment. And people are like, you have 7 days to complete that identity verification process once you open your claim. You got 7 days. But if I've gone to the post office 3 times in 7 days, I tried to upload a picture, take a picture with my cell phone. Here go my ID. Some people have done it and they said it happened, for them smoothly. It wasn't no problem. But other people have said it's not, like you got to get the phone perfectly situated over the ID and you got to do this. And these are not dumb people. And they're like, I never got the unemployment. So it's another thing I need people to be aware of, that, if you are not in that situation now, we don't know what today holds, what tomorrow holds. You may find yourself in that position. Understand that verification, the identity verification process connected to the unemployment office is something else. And I talked to 3 different people who all said they either never got their benefits or it was severely delayed. And people were on the brink of being evicted because they didn't have any money. You done paid into the system. The post office already got their own challenges. Now they talking about they want to lay off thousands of postal employees. Why would you be sending somebody to the postal service to verify your ID? How come I just can't go to a state unemployment office and verify my ID with them? Why am I using the middleman of a post office? I'm going to a local post office. Why can't I go to a Wisconsin unemployment office? I mean, and I don't even think we have them anymore. You got to go to the state. But this is crazy, y'all. All of these things are being put in place and are impacting people. Somebody said, let me see. Good morning. For those that said voting doesn't matter, we'll find out today that it does. Listener, thank you. I mean, it's the truth. So you got one president and one administration that was trying to figure out how to help people and make things simpler for people, and taking into account that you can be crippled by debt, which means that you never become a homeowner. You never get a decent apartment. You always got to put up with some sleazy landlord who will accept these crazy credit scores in some cases, not all, but some. And then you got somebody that's figuring out every way to be as punitive as I possibly can be. And, a caller called in and said, Michelle, can you speak to the real life impacts of these tariffs? Can you speak to it? So let's be clear. There are Republicans that are trying to tell people, hey, y'all all right. We just heard in that little news clip here on the station where Donald Trump is out in line telling people gas is $1.98. I just pulled up 5 seconds ago. Where is it? The national average price for a gallon of regular gasoline is currently around $3.16. In Wisconsin, the average price for regular gasoline is $2.95. Where the hell is Donald Trump finding gas that's a whole dollar cheaper than it is in Wisconsin right now? And why would you act like that's the national average? This man lies out of every side of his face. Somebody hemmed him up on talking about the tariffs. And he was saying the tariffs are very good. Nobody's going to be harmed by the tariffs. The interviewer, the reporter said, but hey, you just said instead of $30, people have to get their kids $3 to $5. And he was like, well, that's true. Kids don't have to have $30. Well, first of all, I know Ivanka buy her children whatever she want them to have. All the rich people and the folks that got means, they kids gonna get whatever their mom and daddy can afford. So there was a degree of elitism in the, you're gonna tell me what I can do for my kid. But the thing that the reporter didn't do an effective job of was replaying his words for him when he said the other part. And those $2 or $3 are going to cost you a little bit more, which means the tariffs are going to cost Americans, people in this country, more money. Estimates of $3,000 to $4,000 more a year on products and services that we get. So you got Republicans, some on television spinning, lines saying, hey, don't believe the hype. We all right. Michelle and all them crazy, Democrats and liberals and progressives, they tripping, y'all. Y'all all right. Do y'all feel tariffs right now? Did you go to the grocery store this weekend? Was it food? You good, man. Don't listen to them. And we negotiating deals. We doing big deals, big things. We popping. We making it happen. Ain't doing a damn thing. We still waiting on the deals. Everybody coming to the table. They kissing the ring. Now is the real tale, though, because the products that's in the stores now, we ready to re-up. Some of them shelves are not going to be restocked because people are not going to be able to pay these tariffs. It's going to be some empty products, things that we typically would see and the abundance of which come in that are going to be impacted. So when people saying, do you feel hurt right now? I tell people it's the equivalent of today NOV fires me, okay? They fire me today. I got money today. When I got fired, I got money. In 2 weeks, because I'm living paycheck to paycheck, in 2 weeks, when that check don't come, I ain't gonna have no money. I'm gonna be struggling. We got products today because this stuff had already come in. It was already ordered. That's why I said when Lakeisha said she was over at the car dealership getting her car repaired, as she walked around just looking at some of the newer cars and what was going on the showroom floor, they had signage that said tariff free. We already had this inventory. But anything you buy coming in now, that sticker shock is going to be real. People are not absorbing those costs for you. I can't afford it. As a business owner, I can't afford it. So therefore, if I can't afford it, And if I don't order it because I can't afford it, because I got to pay for it up front and then pass the charge off to my customer, it's going to be a lot of small businesses that can't afford the upfront cost. They got to buy it first before they can put it in their store and then charge you the markup. I can't even buy it because I can't afford it. So we are going to see, and this is in pretty much every arena, we are going to see this happen. This 145%, tariffs with China, and now both China, because China getting hurt. China, they selling all this merchandise. And the people in China like, hey, y'all got to figure this out. Because these Shein products and these Temu and, Uzi and all these, hey, America got to get their cheap merchandise. And we need to make our money. So eventually they're going to have to come to the table. But you may not have felt it right away. But trust me, this time next month, you certainly going to see the impacts of these tariffs. When you go into stores, when you looking for food products, when you looking for clothing, we was in here laughing, Nike, made in Indonesia, made in, Thailand, made in here, made in here. All that mess got to come back to the States. So, my Nike gear about to go significantly through the roof because Nike's not going to absorb that cost. I got to pay for that. So guess who's going to be wearing all Nike gear? The other part of this is that consumers, even consumers that's doing okay, going to start holding on to their money. Because that discretionary money I had to spend at McDonald's for breakfast, I may now need that to pay that extra cost on the price of eggs or bacon or medication. Food restaurants are already saying they have seen a precipitous fall in spending in their restaurants. Yeah, because when we out here buying Raising Cane and Chick-fil-A and McDonald's, it's because we got discretionary income. I just spent $11 on a big breakfast and a sausage McMuffin yesterday for Keisha Daddy. I was like, damn, this costs $11. $11 at McDonald's for breakfast. But I understand now I'm going to need them $11 to cover the additional cost of the same amount of groceries I've been buying, but they now are higher. So let's eat now to be able to cover the same things I've been buying right now. So recession, products not coming in. What truck drivers got to haul? My brother's a truck driver. What you got to haul? If fewer products are coming into the country, what you hauling? What you moving from store to store? Like, I don't care what amount of this is going to be temporarily painful, but we gonna come up. We ain't gonna come up for years. If you try to force some of these industries back to the States, and this from a man who himself outsourced his products that he sold connected to Trump's businesses, his stuff came from China too. He didn't do business in America. He did business in China too. That's why all of it, the hypocrisy of it all is so freaking crazy and laughable if it wasn't so sad. The very man talking about, I'm going to force people to do business within America, didn't do business in America his damn self. The very man talking about we're going to reopen Alcatraz and we're going to, looking for ways to be as punitive as possible to people that's incarcerated, got 34 damn felony convictions. Like, you a criminal yourself. So I am going to say to my people in my community, this ain't the time. Even if you feel like I got it, I'm good. Some of us only like okay good. Like, we not a year long good. You know, somebody said they had rainy day money. They didn't have rainy year money. I don't have rainy 2-year money. I got rainy month money. You know, they tell you to have 6 months of your income saved in case of a rainy day. I got rainy day 6-month money. But if the rainy days last for a year or two, in terms of this economic situation that Donald Trump has created, because all of this is created. All these tariffs, all these prices, being added. Donald Trump created all of this. There was a way to deal with the inequities and stuff without putting us in this situation. He woke up yesterday and said, starting now, the movie industry is going to have a 100% tariff. Like, I'm sorry, what? Why? Because we on the upside. Well, they're getting all the businesses away, and movies are being made in foreign countries, and we're gonna get our money back. We're gonna make them make movies in the United States. Like, first of all, movies ain't been made in LA forever. If you want to see where movies made, go to Georgia. Go to Georgia. And then what Tyler Perry did, create a whole movie studio in Georgia. But you know where movies are made? They made in Canada. Close to the US. I ain't got to fly the stars all over the world and back. They made in Canada. But when we were in South Africa, Viola Davis, we were with her hairstylist. My friend knows Viola Davis's hairstylist. And she was there with Viola Davis on set because Viola Davis was filming a movie when we was in South Africa. So it's going to happen because of the credits that they give people, tax credits and breaks to be able to do that stuff. But y'all, none of us will see the benefits of none of this. Let me take a break. I'll be right back.
Something Real with your host, Michelle Bryant on WNOV.
All right, folks, welcome back. So taking a moment just to talk about the impact of some of these Trump decisions, administration decisions. This man is a failed businessman by most accounts, and he has utilized, uh, the legal system in terms of frivolous lawsuits or stopping people from suing him when he has not made good on debts. He has utilized bankruptcy 5-6 times to get himself out of trouble when he has made bad business decisions. He has siphoned off outrageous sums of money from the U.S. government by having his detail go down to Mar-a-Lago damn near every weekend that he has been in office again this year. I mean, this time we know his family or his business made a whole bunch of money off of his presidency last time. They just opened or opening a club in DC, the executive something, charging people $500,000 to be members. And so this is somebody who is a grifter. Clay Kane was right entitling the book that, talking about some of these people. And so on the tariffs conversation, somebody had posed a question like, so do we make money as the United States off the tariffs? How does this benefit us? So let's just be real clear that Donald Trump's administration is telling people we should see an additional $600 billion in money in the U.S. because of these increased tariffs. But what happens when you increase tariffs? This ain't rocket science, y'all. People buy less. People spend less money. And so you can raise the prices of these tariffs and on these goods coming in, but then they're going to sit on the shelves because people are like, I'm not paying for that. Or I will find a substitute. I will do something different. I will cut coffee out of my routine if it means instead of paying $14 for the coffee I buy right now, I'm gonna start paying $18 for it. Like, and some people are like, oh no, you won't, Michelle. If I continue to pay $18, that means I'm not spending $11 at McDonald's. This is very iffy when you start having these kinds of tariffs. How much it will benefit this country. I'm coming to the phone line, but I just got to say this too. The hypocrisy. Again, capitalism is the way this country thrives. Survival of the fittest. All of these white-led businesses, major corporations, Black folks have done it too. But at the big level, the Fortune 100, Fortune 500 that have actual products, these people made decisions to take these companies out of this country because they did not want to pay American workers. Many of the business class that throw money into Trump's coffers and are all propped up and holding time, these people, we watch corporations year after year shift U.S. manufacturing overseas because, it's too much regulation in the U.S. God forbid we want workers to be safe and we want workers to be treated fairly and given safe working conditions. God forbid. And God forbid you think you should be able to work somebody like a dog and not pay them fairly while the CEOs of these companies make millions and millions of dollars, bonuses that's like $18 million, $5 million. You don't want to pay people. So American companies, we are in this situation because of us, not because of China, not because of, Canada. We're in this situation because of American greed. American consumers want to pay Temu instead of paying a local vendor because you can get the mess for $1.19. You can get a whole outfit off of Temu for $5.46.
Really?
What?
Don't go there.
I'm just saying. You can get a whole outfit off of Temu for $5.46. Then that little wheel go spin.
Yeah.
And it's gonna say
you
got 100% off. I'm just telling you. So that's part.
Don't put Jermaine business in the streets.
American greed. And then American companies who did not, I'm accountable to the shareholders. I'm accountable, to the folks that invested in the company. So they purposely ship them jobs overseas. We want to blame everybody else. You mad at China because they willing to produce cheap stuff? That's why you mad? But you're not mad at the American companies who put us in this situation in the first place. And you're not mad at yourself when you realize I'd rather pay for this crap from China than pay for a local person to make it because it costs more money. Oh, wait, but that's because the damn minimum wage hasn't gone up in 20 years. So folks still making, some folks still make, if it wasn't for COVID, if it was not for COVID, more people would still be making $7.25 an hour because McDonald's had you believing the company would fall apart if they had to pay somebody over $10 an hour. Fight for 15. I remember them protest march right here on 27th and Capitol in front of McDonald's. And let McDonald's tell you, we will go out of business if we got to pay somebody $15 an hour. I done seen signs at McDonald's offering to pay people $21 an hour. And you wasn't the manager. You was flipping fries. Let me go to the phone line.
You was on the grill. Huh?
Thank you. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Wow.
Hang on, Michelle. Let me turn you down.
Okay.
Must be George.
No, I'm in the house.
He ain't out on his horse today.
Michelle, I ain't feeling, I got mixed reactions. Sometimes I'm feeling sorry. Sometimes I ain't feeling sorry for what's going on with us.
I feel sorry
Like
for
somebody said earlier.
In it. It's just so many people gonna get caught up in it though.
Me, you, and everybody that's living in America. It's just that the rich, they can hold on longer than we can. But we always say voting has consequences, right? So I think black women voted 98% for Kamala Harris.
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
It was a high percentage.
I think black males was about 75%.
Yeah, I think he got about 20%, a little over 20% of the share of votes from brothers.
Hispanic females, I think, was 55%, correct?
Yep.
And we ain't gonna get into the whites because we know what they were overwhelmingly for Trump.
And most Hispanic men voted for Trump.
That's where I was going.
Right.
So now, if you've been watching the news, guess what they scared to do today? And a lot of them are calling it off today.
Cinco de Mayo celebrations.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
And why are they calling it off? Because they're worried
Because
about
they don't want to get gathered up. That's correct.
Ice raids.
Ice baby.
And it hasn't mattered if you were legal or not legal. You still could be detained until they could prove your status.
No, you ain't getting detained. You get shipped off.
Well, I mean, yeah, in some cases, for sure.
Because they got people that they done shipped off that were here legally. That they were waiting like did the processes and stuff that they done shipped over there.
But no, I told the story last week of a boy who was young brother, Hispanic brother who was born in Georgia, and they had him detained. And he had his Social Security card and everything. Like, no, I'm an American citizen. I was born here, and they still had him detained. And it took a whole bunch of people to help get that boy out of prison. I mean, out of the holding cell, out of jail.
And let's be clear about tariffs. Tariffs ain't nothing but a tax. So they bragging about they didn't raise $15 billion or $15 million or something with the tariffs right now. But that's money that's coming out of our pocket because we're paying for higher prices. China ain't paying for that, and none of these other. That's our money that they collecting that on. And guess what they're gonna do with that money? They're gonna do that to give it back to the rich people.
They'll be able to create the cushion to give tax, and then because I'm gonna talk about it tomorrow. The budget that Trump put out that cuts all this money from the neediest programs in this country, like it is sickening what he did. And I'll walk people through that tomorrow.
Yeah.
That dude lied like he breathed. And here's the other thing, Michelle. Now, they're not really trying to save money. If you look into and if you do a deep dive, Michelle, they spending more money than they saving. So all this stuff, this Doge and all these things that they doing, saying they're saving this money and cutting this money and all that. No, they're not. They're spending more money. And so this fool want to have a military parade for what? You want to show people everything that you got. the streets of Washington, D.C., I don't even think they can handle that, Michelle. Is it possible to be even done in Washington, D.C.?
Well, they was even talking about, though, because you're talking about 150 military-grade vehicles driving down the street in D.C. And so even in terms of infrastructure, people are concerned. Those streets weren't built for that kind of wear and tear and equipment to be on those streets. So, yeah, I mean, good luck with all of that. But he's going to do it.
And last thing, I just, when I see this dude, I don't know if the laugh sometimes I want my head to explode. So now he's talking about he's going to build a ballroom in the White House. And he's talking about he's going to pay for it out of his pocket. Yeah, right.
But number one, they're going to stop it because you're not going to mess with the existing infrastructure of that White House. That is a historical landmark, which falls under historical guidelines.
Yeah, that's because though he want to be president for life.
Oh, he think he gonna be there. Yeah, he think he about to be there.
For life.
He think he about to be there. Thanks, George. I got another caller. Let me get them
Okay,
in.
thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, caller, what's happening? Hello.
Shalom, family.
Hey, what's up, Craig?
I'm well, my sister. Can y'all hear me clearly?
Yeah, we hear you good. We hear you fairly well.
Good. So first, I appreciated you sharing your excursion over the weekend. No, you know, I'm of the philosophy that when one of us gets to go, we all get to go, particularly when we hear about it, right?
Right.
So, you know, we all experiencing it. I told my son that when he went to Russia.
Okay.
I said, I'll probably never go there and wouldn't choose to go there, but because you went, I've been there.
You certainly feel like I definitely know it a little bit better, right?
Absolutely,
right,
absolutely.
Right.
You survived it, so, you know, and came back and told me about it. You know. But listen, this thing on tariffs, and manufacturing in particular, you know, Wisconsin, Milwaukee in particular, used to be the machine shop, the tool shop of the United States, and to a degree part of the world, alongside of Germany, right? Because that, during the World Wars, that's when a lot of that, and then, you know, in Milwaukee, with the big manufacturers that were here, that was our sort of MO. You know, we were the machine shop of the U.S. And there's a lot of manufacturing still going on today. It's just in these industrial parks. And it's what fuels a lot of these suburban areas. Because there's some small manufacturers that were the offshoots from a lot of the large ones going out of business or moving. They became specialists. You know, so you got a lot of small tool shops that are doing specialty work. And they pay their employees pretty good. I've worked for several of them. One, we made automation equipment right here in Germantown. I worked for several different places, plastic injection molding, all of it. But China today is still the manufacturing, base of the world, right? So, and you talk about Taiwan and just that whole region, there's a lot of stuff that's coming out of there because they tooled up for it. They took all of the work that people want. As you said, a lot of the large manufacturers said, I can make more money per unit over there because they have automated a lot of stuff and they have more people doing piecework. And they trained them to go through the processes to do it to a level that the things that were not made on an automated piece of equipment and go down an assembly line are specific things that can be assembled by hand and come out with a level of quality. You talked about things coming out cheap. Well, China makes a lot of things of high quality too. It just depends on how much you want to pay for it wholesale, then bring it back here to sell it, right? So the iPhones, all those types of things, all our
iPhones, TVs, all that's made over here.
All that stuff, all of it's made over there. The majority of it is automated, but then there's still a lot of handwork that goes into it, right? So, and then automobiles, whatnot. And there's manufacturing everywhere, but China holds the bulk of it. And in that region. Japan, Taiwan, Indonesia, Vietnam, places like that. They're making stuff. And here's the kicker, is that everywhere we're all interconnected. This globalization piece has connected us all. So those dots are connected. There's nothing that we buy that doesn't have parts that are shipped or imported or exported from somewhere else. And the majority of it is done in China. So, what Trump is doing, and Warren Buffett said it the other day, tariffs are a declaration of war. You're saying, and for him to say we want to bring some of that back, well, they should have, as you said, they should have put a plan in place to do it over generations, rather than thinking we just.
I'm gonna get it done in 90 days. I'm gonna get it done.
Right. And that's
foolishness
impossible.
of him.
Yeah,
I mean, that
absolutely.
just and crack him up against the clock. So thank you, bro. I appreciate you. But yeah, thank you, fam. Just the foolishness of him. So look, as we close out the show today, I want to end with this. When Lena was in the Senate, a number of people worked really hard on bringing a 988 crisis line so that people that were contemplating suicide, that were from the LGBTQ community, could have counselors that could identify with what these young people were going through. It's one thing for me to be a trained counselor for somebody contemplating suicide, but they talked about that they saw this rise in deaths among LGBTQ members and veterans. So they created lines to specifically help those communities. People felt safe. The Trump administration has proposed cutting those suicide hotlines. You ain't got to like my lifestyle, but if something is helping me to live, to keep from killing myself, why would you want to cut that? That's the level of mean and vindictive and nasty that is this administration. I have young people who have reached out to that line right here in Wisconsin who are alive today because somebody on the other end of that phone understood how to talk to them, specifically for their concerns. I need y'all to stay woke. We're going to be impacted in ways we had never dreamed of with this administration. Things that we just took for granted and assumed basic human decency. We wouldn't cross these lines. We crossing them now. I need y'all to pay attention and then go back and tell your family about everything that we see. And not just talk about it, but figure out ways to combat it and to help people that's trying to work against it. That's the show for the day. Family, I appreciate y'all. Debo, Mr. Ride Out. Y'all gonna sing me out?
Stay wild. Don't go to sleep. You might have a bad dream.
We're in a bad dream. All right, family, I'll talk to y'all. Debo, you didn't add to the song, man.
Hey, every eye closed ain't sleeping, every goodbye ain't gone.
All right, now. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.